Good morning, good morning. Those of you here on Zoom with me, those of you in the room in FLC, we're gonna start off on our back bodies and see what's in there. We're doing a lot of really organic movements and stretching today that I hope and think will feel really good to your gardening, bicycling, who knows what bodies, shoveling dirty hay out of the greenery. I know for a fact that was a thing. So when you come to your back body, please let your first moment be a sense of, I am here, right? Kind of check in with all the muscles, all the doer, all the anticipation, and invite an sinking down and in to this moment, this body, this breath. When we come to the mat, we often don't even know exactly what's in there. And that's why it's so important that we simply come to the mat. So congratulations, you did it. And whether you're at the mat for 5 minutes or 50 or more, it will transform how you move through the rest of your day. So I'm really glad you did this, are doing it. Please join me in a few sighing breaths, inhaling slow, deep, and wide, witnessing the wave rising. Each sighing breath says, I am whole, well, I am safe. And in this moment, everything's just right. There's no striving or fixing, figuring it out. Once that sighing breath is complete, please take the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, letting the rest of the tongue and jaw be soft. Turn the gaze up towards that third eye. And whenever you're ready, add your soft ujjayi breath, a light throat contraction. So as the breath passes through, it makes the whooshing sound of wind of trees or ocean waves or big lake waves. As you tune in to your body, to your breath, I'm going to ask you to do a brief scan. And the question is sort of what's there? It's a little inventory, a moment of being simply open to hearing what the body has to say. Please continue with your ujjayi breath, seeking out those moments of pause that exist between the inhale and exhale. And let yourself sort of float in them. And with that deep attention, please also now add movement of the head, rolling the head side to side. What little connections do you notice? Is the right and the left side the same? The next time your head is rotated all the way to the right, please take your left arm and reach up and back towards the wall behind you. And you might also reach away through your left heel, flexing firmly. Big breath. Is there more? On the exhale, releasing that left arm back down. And rotating the head to the left, reaching the right arm up and back towards the wall behind you. And you might find yourself, oh, I want to roll that wrist, right? That might be your weeding arm. Reaching through the right heel and then relaxing back to your neutral. Enjoy a long inhale and then please join me in compression and expansion breathing. So on your exhale, you're drawing abdomen towards spine and you want that low back to press into the floor. It's as if you've got a little scale right there and you're trying to squish it. Emptying, emptying, And when there isn't, soften. Allow the inhale to breathe you. We're going to continue in this way, and what I'm hoping you're experiencing is a real undulation of the spine. The exhale compression, there's a flattening, and the pelvic bone or pubic bone will tilt up. On the inhale, there's a return of the curve of the spine. I'm hoping you feel the breath wave moving all the way up the ribs into the upper back. Maybe it even invites some head movement. Again, organic, inspired. That's the practice. When I first started doing compression and expansion breathing, which I made up, I found it very difficult to get my lower abdominal muscles to participate. So I encourage you to consider taking your hands in that whole area kind of between the hip bones and just saying, hey, you, contract downward. One of the ways that I knew I had a problem with that is that if I went to do a sit-up, my belly would engage, but it would pop out. So if you have any of that similar kind of responsiveness in your abdominal muscles, this may be a very helpful technique for you. It's also really great for those of us who are chronic neck tighteners or shruggers. So we're going to be here for another probably minute of compression expansion breathing. Every time you're in that powerful belly to spine, boom, go ahead and roll your head side to side. So training our body to separate core from the liberated, peaceful neck and shoulders, I hope. The other very useful tactic here, asking, is there more of the breath? So if you can hold those abdominal engagements until every drop of exhale is gone, you will get a lot more core strength from this. And that changes how we do everything else. The next time you are releasing and inhaling, sweep the arms overhead behind you, hold there and begin organically stretching back and forth, one arm and then the next, again, working through the heel. You might decide to point and flex both hands and feet and roll. On the exhale, inviting you to bring the arms in by the side, compression exhale, rock pose. So we're tightening all the muscles of the body, arms, butt, thighs. If you'd like, adding a little sit-up motion, as if you wanted to look at your amazing feet. Thanks for all you do. Again, inhaling, releasing, sweeping overhead, rolling wrists, reaching. You might even reach a little more out in a V. That can be fun. And on an exhale, compression, rock pose, with or without sit-up. One last time. And release. Maybe a sighing breath. Coming into abdominal pumping. So nice long inhale, staying laying down. Exhaling, emptying the breath. With the breath held out, draw the belly in and then push it out. And this is all with no breath inside. When you need to breathe, so pump and go. And again, maybe a sighing breath. We're going to bring our right knee to our belly, release wind pose. Heels are flexed, left foot extending. Shoulder heads anchoring down, no wings, no shrugs, elbows coming in. So again, the neck is liberated. I'm going to ask you to take your knee a little out to the right, but keeping that left side of the body anchored. If it's difficult to reach the knee, by the way, you can always loop a strap kind of around the bottom of the kneecap, and that gives you just a longer reach to move the knee out to the right and towards the center line, and maybe even a little across the center line to see what feels good. And then returning to center, we're going to take the legs straight up to the sky, heel flexed. Big inhalation. Relaxed neck. Exhale, root that lower back and belly, just like you've been doing in compression, and slowly take that right leg down towards the floor. But it's really like you're trying to sort of touch the wall in front of you, painting a stripe with your heel. Bend the knee if you need to. And when you reach the floor, melting. And in between those deep engagements, sighing breaths can be lovely. So just anytime you feel inspired, we'll bring the left knee into the belly release wind pose. No wings, no shrugs. Right heel flexes, powering down through that right thigh bone. This is where we get a lovely stretch opportunity into those hip flexors and deep psoas muscle. Once again, pulsing that left leg, the bent knee in and out, trying to stay rooted through the right side. So we're not letting it peel us away from the mat. Looking good, you guys. Is this side different? And back to center, inhaling left leg straight up to the sky. How tight is it? Exhale, root and descend. Power at the center. Peace in the neck, shoulders, face. Maybe even a soft little smile. And melting. We'll be bringing our feet flat up under the knees for bridge pose. This is a great chance to take the block and put it between the thighs and give a squeeze. Work the shoulder heads in underneath you. And you can have your arms however you like. Maybe they're kind of jet airplane palms to the sky. Maybe you've just got your upper arm rooted and the hands are kind of splayed towards the sky. We're not going to add yoga mudra at this point because we're coming in and out. So inhaling in your starting position. Exhaling, draw your belly to spine to floor, then raise the hips and bridge. Asking, is there more? Is there more? Keep sending the knees away from you. Inhaling, descend glacially slow. One rib at a time. I like it, I said glacially, instead of glacially. All right, continue exhaling, rising up, either with a block or imagining between the thighs. Hope you're hearing the lovely Ujjayi breath in your ears and your brain. You can use it as a mind sweep. The next time you descended, crossing right ankle onto left thigh for reclined pigeon. Before you go holding the right knee, just give it a wag. So kind of wagging it away from you and towards you. And again, obviously, if anything hurts or just feels ouchy, don't do it, make adjustments. You get it. If you're able to raise your left leg, do. Otherwise, you can still hold the right knee without that left leg raised. It's just a nice way to deepen the experience. Hugging right knee tight towards the right chest, and then sending it a little towards the center line. Scan neck and shoulders for unnecessary tension. Please use your big belly breath. Send it down on into the hip area. Think of the breath as an explorer, wants to kind of go find those little pockets and spaces and sensations. When you're ready to switch, returning the floor leg first is generally just a safer way. And then we'll cross the left ankle to right thigh and coming into our little knee wag. And as you're ready, you might raise your right foot off the floor. People do this at different angles. Some like to have the foot pretty high, straight ahead, or even dropped. Whatever feels best in your world, hug that left knee. Hello. Hip. Send it a little towards the center line. Would it feel good to roll the head side to side? Would it feel good to deepen the angle with the leg and then release a little, kind of a pulsing, or as what somebody said earlier today, a WD-40, right? You're going back and forth, getting the synovial fluid in there, not try to just hold one angle and force it. And slowly releasing. We're going to take the feet flat but wide, preparing for a little windshield wiper. So taking the right knee down towards the center line. And obviously, if you feel any impingement or anything funky, back off. Otherwise, holding here, reach the right arm up behind you towards the wall. Karate chop straight. See if you can get that beautiful edge, that place that's intense, but that you can evolve it. You can say hello to it with your breath. Maybe you're pressing your knee down a little more, for example. And then to create the other side, I always bring the arm, returning it to the body first. I think it's just safer for the low back. So especially if you already have low back instability. And settling left knee and reaching left arm. Oh, hello. Oh, I just got an inspiration, for example, to flex my palm towards the wall behind to get that extra stretch through the forearm. Check it out. And slowly on back, we'll bring the soles of the feet together in butterfly. And let the knees just settle towards the earth. A breath or two, noticing, allowing. And then you might raise the hips to create that strengthening aspect of the pose. I ask you to scan your head and shoulders again here and make sure that you aren't adding a bunch of neck and shoulder tension. If you are, you may need to let the hips just come down a little bit. We'll hold here for 3 or 4 more breaths, a chance to be a breath watcher. There's no other alignment. Plenty to tune into. When you feel complete with that, lowering slowly, you might bring knees to belly, and then however you would like, joining me on hands and knees. So I'm gonna spinal rock up to cross-legged, then roll forward onto my hands. And we're gonna go right away into cow cat. I encourage you to play a little bit with your cow cat. So one thing I was doing the other day is I was kind of leaning back a little bit and coming into my cat back that way. And it kind of gives you a little extra shoulder stretch, almost like a mini puppy stretch. So just playing and noticing when you're in cow pose, you might want to wag your head to look left and right. And then at some point, if you feel inspired, use that powerful core of yours, taking it to your first downward facing dog practice. Curl the toes under, raise the hips up, knees bent, because we want a beautiful, powerful, peaceful line from the hands to the hips. One long angle, we don't want the shoulders over the hands. And then we can work heel towards floor one at a time, pedaling. Saying hello to the calf, Achilles tendon. Sometimes I'll come up on the balls of the feet and then return. And then slowly walking the hands back to the feet. Take all the time and be nice to your shoulders. And settling in your ragdoll for about 3 breaths. So ragdoll, we've got our knees bent. And if that's still too much, maybe you feel some low back intensity, use your elbows on your thighs as a support. But then everyone, see if you could start to release your head towards the floor with gravity. And maybe it would feel good to do, again, just a little kind of head bobbing, A little rotating, a little yes and no. Big inhale. Let's do one more big breath on your inhale, extending your spine a little bit. So whether your elbows are on your thighs or hands are on your shins. And on your exhale, deep compression fold, belly to spine, and start to bring your torso towards your thighs, emptying. Is there more? When there's nothing left, drop your butt and then rise. Big inhale. Prayer hands, feeling palm to palm. Take a moment to steady your blood pressure. Right? It can be a little dizzying being upside down like that. We're gonna go sideways on our mat to practice that energy ball pose that I mentioned. It's just a great all over joint warmer, etc. It can also be really good for strengthening torso and lower body, but you need to work it at the height and so on that works well for you. So I just have my feet turned out in kind of a natural squat state. How do you know what yours is? Usually just hopping will land you in whatever your natural angle is, not feet turned totally parallel nor way out, just easy, right? On your inhale, taking yourself into a little bit of squat and then sweeping the arms out like you're raising a beautiful ball of energy up to the heavens. Is there more? And on the exhale, sitting your butt back into your spot and kind of swan diving with your arms, like you're going to gather another ball from the earth right here. Inhaling, rooting and rising. Raising that great ball. And exhaling, lowering, as if you're kind of gathering up another round. Or however you'd like to imagine it. Maybe there's something specific that's beautiful, powerful, energizing to you that you'd like to gather up from the earth. And as you raise it up, you're moving it through your whole body, spine, circulatory system. This is a beautiful time to get more attentive to the feet. So you might be kind of spreading the toes out, getting even more articulate. And you are working at the height that is happy for your knees, hips, back, and so on. And when we're in that up position, maybe bring the hands all the way up, arms straight, and kind of prayer hands, or maybe you stop partway out because you don't like the tension that you get in your neck when you do that. We're going to do probably a half a dozen more, and I would ask you to now really tune into breath, letting breath initiate motion. So you're holding each part of the position until the next breath wave comes. Exhaling, you head down, emptying, 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 and inhaling, you head up, filling, filling. Enjoy those beautiful moments of pause between the breaths. You guys look awesome, powerful, peaceful. Couple more. Remember, you can add a little organic stuff when you're in that downward position, witnessing the end of the exhale. Maybe you want to send your hips a little side to side. On your next inhale, when it's complete, from here, prayer hands, you might touch the third eye with the thumbs and then sternum point. Nice work. And then we're just going to go side to side. We're just doing a gentle kind of, like if any of you have done rollerblading or cross-country skiing with the skate ski method. Yeah, then we're just going to let our arms float, right? No big alignment stuff, just movement. We're just working into that outer hip a little bit. If it feels like too much, don't go as high, or start with your feet a little closer together, right? You don't have to have them wide to start. The arms can go either direction. I've had people say they like both. Just a few more, get a little heart rate up. Cardio. And then plant those feet back into your squat position. We're coming into goddess squat. And so we are going to have our arms out in like goal posts, essentially. Radiant fingers, elbows about the height of the shoulder. And we're going to settle in for a squat. Now your squat might be a 1-inch knee bend. Cool. Some of you might be like, I am the goddess, and you're going to go super deep with the hips. You don't have to commit, by the way. You can go back and forth. I'm just going to ask you to tune into your breath and scan your spine. Is there any more sense of neutral in the spine? Maybe you sent your butt out behind and you tucked it in. Find neutral and breathe into it. Just a few more breaths, witnessing the gap and pause. Wave rising and settling up and down the spine. Is there more? Is there more? On the next inhale, root and rise, turn those feet straight forward, glutes squeeze forward, palms might come together. Maybe you feel like raising your chin to gaze at them. Exhaling, prayer hands. So if your ankles need a little break, bring them in and give them a break. Otherwise, you're going to return right to this position. You're going to take it wider. We're preparing for warrior two. We're going to go in and out of warrior two each side. So we'll turn the right foot 90 degrees, so it's facing the end of your mat. We're going to use that back leg as our powerhouse to send the hips towards that front heel, that right heel. Good. Now notice if your knee is coming beyond your heel, you've got to scooch your foot further. Beautiful. We'd like a straight line between the knee and heel. Doesn't matter how low the hips are. When you're ready, sweep those arms out from the heart, maybe palms open to the sky. And where does the head want to be? Often in this pose, I like moving. I like looking forward and back. And also look to the side. Let's do a group sigh here. Long inhale. Is there more? And exhaling, side settling. Ah, marvelous. And returning to our straddle, feet neutral. We'll turn left foot 90. In my initial experience of warrior two, I always pulse. I kind of practice pushing with that back foot and notice how deep it feels right today on this side. Find your version, reach those arms out from the heart. You can also do some fun arm movement like you're turning the world's largest doorknob. Neck, tongue, and shoulders all in ease. And let's do one more group breath. Big inhale. Marvelous. And returning to your straddle feet. Nice deep knee bend to fold, and we're going to go side to side. If the floor feels like it's too far, it can be marvelous to grab a block, give you a little more leeway. Again, we want this to be juicy, no suffering. Then let your head go. And in this pose, one of my favorite things is to kind of work the side body. So if you can kind of walk your hands all the way over to your left side, for example, and you can reach long through your right arm, you get a stretch through there. So or if you're over at the right side, you want to make sure you're reaching long through the left arm. Okay. Deep breath. And what would it feel like to rotate and look to the wall to that side? So I'm, for example, like I said, I've gone to my left, my right leg straight, I'm over by my left foot, and I'm going to rotate my chest towards that left wall. And then switch it. Reaching long through that arm. And then if you like, rotating towards the wall. You can pulse it. We're going to go straight from here to downward facing dog. So you're going to rotate your front foot So you come into your, yeah, you don't have to do it that way, just roll. However many movements it takes. Get yourself downward facing dog, or cow cat's always a great alternative, or puppy stretch. Otherwise, on the palms, hips raised. All right, we're gonna do a little spinal pumping here. So some of you might be returning to cow cat. We're gonna do a little upward facing dog, downward facing dog. So as you inhale, it's flowing forward like you would to plank, but letting the hips settle as you draw the heart forward. Exhaling, press back. You could also do a knee down version. As we do this again, you could drop the knees and let the hips settle. Neck is a nice stretch through the psoas. Those of us who've been working our core a lot. Woo. Let's do one more. Breath, initiating motion. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet. The more time you take with this, the more shoulder work you get and the more kind of waistline release. It's really beautiful up through those lat muscles and so on. And then inhale, rise. Prayer hands. Take a moment, scan head, neck, and shoulders. Peace, peace, peace. We're going to come into our standing thread the needle. I like doing a little twisting kind of to enter. And so you could do the floor version if you wanted. But I just take my feet a little bit wide. And I'm going to start with my right arm and I'm going to sweep behind and across. And you're just breathing. You don't need to marry the breath with the movement. But keeping that breath moving in the body. If you let your head follow as you look behind both that arm, you get some nice rotation through the torso. Good, and then eventually we'll just cross that right arm. I'm going to take my left hand into elbow and press it towards the body. Blossoming breath into your wings as I think of it, the back of the ribs, behind the heart space. Maybe you want to tilt down a little bit, getting an extra stretch through that side body. It's amazing how much is in your side body. At some point, just tossing it up and away. Give a couple extra little spirals if you like. And we'll start with the other side. So when we're doing this, it's really natural for the knees and hips and stuff to rotate. But if it hurts, your joints just don't go as far or don't keep the feet planted. That's another option. Otherwise, I've got my feet planted and I'm just letting the whole body spiral atop. Breathing slow, deep and wide as if it's all we'd ever do. And as you're ready, arm across the body. I cut Van Morrison off earlier, so. All right. Is this side different? What do you notice? It's always amazing to me how good simple stretches like this feel. It's like you found a whole closet of stuff in your own body that you didn't know when you were making coffee or whatever this morning. All right, tossing it up and away and a few spirals and yoga mudra. This pose, I realize, is one of the main things that changed my shoulder structure from being rotated forward in the socket to eventually landing more back. But it was really hard for me and I had to do it with a strap for quite a while. I had to hold something between my hands in order to get the shoulders to draw back and get the elbows straight. So if that's you, if you're kind of hanging out with a little bit of a bent elbow, get a hold of a sock or a scarf or something and get those arms karate chop straight. And what some of us will notice is there's all the yummy sensation around the shoulder blade and in between there, that shoulder blade sandwich. But if you get big inhale, there's also all that sensation in the sternum and maybe through the lat muscles and obliques, especially if you do the palm thing. So when you're ready, if you'd like, nice glute squeeze, press the hands away from the hips and return. Always slow, right? Because there's a lot of really kind of small passages of nerves and things through these plexus of the shoulder, girdle, and trap muscles and so on. and releasing. And notice if anything in particular is needed. We're going to do a little neck love. We're going to come into our collar. And so you've just got your kind of fingertips meeting at the base of the skull and neck there. We're not like gripping. And that's allowing me to support the head as I rotate it one way, another. Sometimes it feels good to like add a little bit of tractioning, like you can kind of have the blade of one hand kind of supporting and the other pressing. Then we're going to add a little stretch in the other dimensions. So very slowly, just dropping your chin towards your sternum and breathing into the back. And we're going to be doing an opposite stretch, and it's particularly advantageous if you can get your hands even on your skin. So if you put your hand like in your shirt, you can pull down on that, but otherwise just positioned like so. And as you're ready, you're going to inhale and reach the chin up as you kind of draw down, and then return to neutral. We'll do that a couple more times. You guys feeling that stretch into the throat tissues and stuff? Yeah, I am too. Got a pretty good one. Remember, we never want to drop our head back onto our back, right? Because that's just going to compress the vertebrae. We love this reaching through the chin. And you might add a subtle movement when you're there next time of just taking your ear a little left and then a little right. All right, now we're going to come into our lion stretch. So nice big inhales, reaching up. Exhale, elbows come down and then claw stretch and opening that jaw as wide as you can. Don't worry, nobody can see you, including me. My eyes are closed. Nice. Swallow, roll out wrists and ankles. We'll meet at the front of the mat for little mountain stands to move into our warrior flow. And you know, during warrior flow, I often offer different things, but if your body says, "Ooh, I want this version, that version," just tune me out. I know that's hard to do, but I invite you to do it. All right. Feet are parallel, palms connecting, noticing palm to palm. These are powerful energy centers, folks, and it's a great way to be awake, connected to body and breath. So we did that energy ball, and you can kind of repeat that sense of awareness here in mountain of connecting down into the earth and rising up into the heavens. Each breath is the energy flowing down and up. On your next inhale, sweeping out and up. Maybe adding a little back bend, maybe lifting the chin to gaze at those fingertips touching. Exhaling, prayer hands, lifting left knee, standing crane. The balancing pose, hello, balancing. So a reminder, if you feel that you're losing balance, try to push down to that inner line of the foot. And then take that left leg back to your crescent lunge. I'm going to invite you in our goalpost arms. We're going to do a little twisting. So that back leg, it can be a little bent, it can be completely straight, whatever you like. But nice long inhale, exhale, draw your right hip bone back as you rotate to the right. And I beg of you, make this juicy and easy for the neck. Inhaling center, don't go as far. Exhaling right. Maybe you want to gaze out over your back shoulder. Doesn't matter how far the waist goes. Just trying to stay upright is a good goal. One more inhale, exhale, rotate. You got it. Inhaling, gaze up and reach up if you can. It might create a nice stretch through the pelvis and belly. And then open that back foot, planting warrior two. So that back foot's 90 degrees, toes pointing towards the edge of the mat here earlier. Maybe you could take your stance a little deeper because we're not holding it. 3 breaths is all. Breath rising and settling. You guys look good. Everyone's got their foot straight forward, aligned with the knee. You guys are serious yogis here. Sometimes even when I'm not sighing, I kind of mentally sigh. Inhaling, straightening that front leg, reaching up and back only as much as feels good. And then slowly forward towards our lateral stretch, elbow to thigh. See if you can get the pelvis in towards the center line of the mat and get that left shoulder stacked back. Where does your face need to be for your neck to be happy? And then reaching through that top arm towards the wall in front of you. Should give us some good stretch down into the waist and hip. I like pulsing it sometimes or even circling. So pulsing, I sort of rotate my chest towards the floor and then away from the floor again. And circling, I kind of do that in a circling fashion. So I reach my arm forward and face my chest towards the floor, and then the arm continues circling down, back, and up. I'm going to take it right from here into a revolved twist here. So I'm going to plant my left hand either on the floor or a block. You can use a nice tall block if you don't like being in a lunge as low as what we were. You could also do this standing. And I'm going to rotate open through that top arm. Some of you might enjoy bringing that arm behind in a partial bind. Really nice little extra shoulder love, as long as you don't force it. And then slowly releasing. Now, downward facing dog, no dragging it, see if you can lift it. Where would your body like to go from here? Resting, holding, flowing. If you're flowing with the dog series, inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. Check that your hips are not swagging. And as you exhale, chaturanga, just bend the elbows. Don't let those hips dip. Kiss the earth. Inhaling cobra, or if you like, on the feet, upward facing dog. Good, exhaling downward facing dog. Maybe a side breath. And lunging, hopping. Letting that head hay, long inhale, root and rise. Earth and heaven energy and prayer hands returning palm to palm. Breath, wave, rise and settle. So ready, lifting that left knee, standing crane, or excuse me, right standing crane. Nice core support, again, pushing into the earth. Slow journey into your crescent lunge. Left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. So it's really important if you have your back foot flat in warrior one, make sure that the toes are pointed a little forward, because otherwise trying to get those hips around, you're going to torque your knee in between. So it should feel pretty natural. If you have to shorten your stance to get the foot flat, go for it. And as you're ready, our goalpost arms. Nice long inhale, neck is liberated. Exhale, belly to spine, rotate left. We don't care how far we go. Inhaling center and exhaling, rotating. You might look back over that shoulder, just getting that extra neck stretch. Kind of amazing when you think about it, how much rotation our spine allows us to have. Back to center on a long inhale, reach those arms straight up. And I'm hoping again you get that marvelous stretch through that right abdomen. Exhale, open to your warrior two. Adjust your stance until it feels powerful and peaceful. I do see a few feet that need checking. That front foot is either over-rotated or not enough. Just check yours. It should feel neutral. Basically, it should feel no tension up into the joints. Breath rising and settling. Along inhale, exalted warrior, straighten that front leg. Again, you can always roll wrists, take your head wherever it feels yummy, and then slowly forward lateral stretch. And make sure that left butt cheek is sending in towards the center line. If you're not sure what I mean, intentionally push your butt out behind and notice it doesn't feel very good. And then send your left hip in and under you, and it should feel a lot better. Reaching out beyond the head. Maybe that's your version. Maybe you're pulsing or circling. And as you rotate your right hand towards the floor for our lunge, try walking your front foot further to the left. So you're not on such a balance beat, right? So now I'm in my lunge, I've got my right hand on the floor or a block, and I'm giving myself more room left to right between the feet. So it's easier to rotate open with that left arm. Now I notice in my body, and I see it in a lot of people, other people's other, it's very tempting to kind of swing the body out in this move. Try to bring it back in so that you're in alignment, so that your head is straight forward of the foot versus winging out to your right. Yeah. And maybe you're adding that partial bind. And whenever you feel ready, releasing. And one more time, last time, it's your option for downward facing dog to dog series, or just holding downward dog. Man, it's a good hamstring exercise. So those of you who want some ham love, working here, pushing into the earth, empowering those heels down into the floor. We don't care if they ever get there. When you guys come out, I'll get some dessert. So really go for it. If you're doing any dog series, upward dog, plank, etc., make sure you're squeezing an imaginary block between your thighs. I often see people's heels rotate out, and that will put pressure right on your low back. Squeeze that imaginary block. Press your heels back. You got it. All right. So we're almost to the full-on resting portion of our deal, but it's not quite, right? So we're going to come to the belly. We're going to do jet airplane, and we're going to move from jet airplane into forearm plane, and we'll do that twice total back and forth, okay? Your version, by the way, so maybe your version of jet airplane is that you just raise the arms off the floor, maybe the head, right? This does not have to be a big movement to give us the therapy that this pose offers. So resting on the belly of the forehead, palms facing the floor, shoulder heads rotate so they're as far off the floor and down the body as possible. Then anchor the pubic bone. Then inhaling, extending. Exhaling, return. Enjoy the power in this body of yours. There are so many people who cannot lift their body at all off the floor in this position. And the fact that yours is doing so beautifully tells you, oh man, I've got a lot of strength back there in my back body. That's awesome. I think of it as anti-aging, a strong back body. It's what keeps us upright. It's our engine that moves us through space. If you'd like to add an engagement of the glutes, raising the legs off the floor to reach for the wall behind, go for it. If you feel a band of tension when you do that, then I would leave that out. And on your next exhale, settle, relax, turn your head to one side, and become a lump. Becoming a lump is sometimes easier said than done. I know for a lot of us humans, it's hard to shift out of doer mode or engagement. It's a great place to practice. So scanning your body, seeing is there any part that can melt that hasn't. Let me speak to that part. Let me seduce it into just letting go. And then when your next big inhale comes, big belly breath, let it inspire you, come up onto forearms. I always engage my glutes as I do that because that's going to support my low back from becoming compressed at all. All right, we've got our hands. I've got one hand in a fist, the other hand gently wrapped around, shoulder heads anchored down, and neck neutral, which means my chin is actually a little bit dipped towards my neck versus reaching forward. As you're ready, either on knees. In fact, actually, let's all do knees first, unless it hurts being on your knees. Just tuck the tailbone, come into a knee down forearm plank. I've discovered knee down forward plank has its own gifts. If you would like to then come onto the feet, go for it, sending the thighs to the sky as you are on your feet now, sending the heels back. Just notice what you like more. What I notice is that knee down forearm plank, I can sometimes get as much sense of core work without the back tightening. Right? Tightening is not the same as strengthening. So scan your system, see if you can hold here for just a couple more breaths. And then coming slowly down, returning to your belly, become a lump. Let's return for one more round here of jet airplane with the invitation that you might move the arms out into a kind of 90-degree from the body. So as you come into your first one, before you raise your body, raise your arms off the floor. Get your shoulders as far away from the floor as you can, hands off the floor, and just feel that upper back powered piece. You guys look great. And as you're ready on an inhale, extend the spine coming into your flight. We got it. You might return all the way on the exhale, or maybe you're just kind of pulsing, dipping. Let it come from your body's inspiration. Breath or two, listen to your system. And when you are complete, release, practice becoming a lump once more. That's where we're almost at zero. They had a great saying when I was at Kripalu training. They said, you know, your shavasana is only as good as the pose that you had before, the helm pose, that sort of intensity of the building of the energy. Right, last round of forearm plank with the invitation, if you would like to do add-ons. One of my absolute favorites is simply raising one foot off the floor. And I love it because it really challenges, it lets me know, am I really in core strength? So make sure before you consider doing that your feet are pretty close together and that you're squeezing that imaginary block, because if your heels are rotated out already, you're going to feel very weak when you now release one foot, reaching for the wall behind. And you're just going to go slowly back and forth. Remain soft on the neck. Feel what your body can do. Remember, you can always just release to me, so you can make this less intense anytime. Yeah, good. When you come out into your lump position, I invite you to take a moment and notice if you feel different than when you arrived at your practice today. If so, how? I hope you feel that you've been worked, but also kind of released from some of the held tension that you maybe arrived at. We're going to do one restorative pose before our resting time. If you're like, I'm already in my corpse pose, I'm good. Excellent. Do not come out. But if you would like the supported pose with the block under the sacral triangle, please join me. A reminder, you can also use like a folded blanket or towel if the block that you have is either too hard or too high. That is an option. Please consider staying in the bent knee version for a couple or a few breaths. So you plant the feet, you raise the hips as if you're coming into bridge, and then you place the block under the sacral triangle, not higher in the lower back at all. It's actually further down right onto that bony triangle at the top of the crack of the back. And you're simply going to lower your hips, weight onto the block and allow. Few breaths of speaking to the body, inviting it to settle and let go. Feels good in your body to do so. Feel free to straighten the legs, straighten the body. You feel your pelvis kind of dump or tip forward when you do that. You'll want to then place the block a little lower. Deep abdominal breath is an opportunity for this front line to soften. A lot of these muscles in that front line are the engaged doer muscles, the power. I notice if I try to think about getting somewhere fast or getting something done, I immediately kind of curl or hunch forward to get there. And that's not always the most helpful. When you feel complete with this resting posture, come on down. You might want to bring the knees to belly. So please find the resting posture that is perfect for you. Maybe there's an additional stretch that you're wanting. If there's something we didn't do or did already, maybe you're like, oh man, my hips still, I need a pigeon alternate or regular classic pigeon. Maybe there's a little massage needed at the base of the skull and neck. As you're ready, creating a resting posture that the body receives and says, ah. Remember, you can have your legs up on an ottoman or up the wall. You can be curled in embryo pose, so you do not need to be in our Shavasana corpse pose. Giving yourself to gravity and to this moment. These are the most important minutes of our practice where your body, nervous system, etc. integrates. I'm whole, I am well, safe. This moment, this body, this breath. Witnessing your breath slowing, deepening, coming like the breath of a baby sleeping. stay deeply introverted, but become aware of my voice. While you're in this deeply connected space, I'd love to have each of us inquire within. There's a lot of different questions you could ask to kind of get the answers from your body or being. It might be, how's it going? Might be, let me take a little inventory. Are things in balance, the way that I'm moving through space, or the extent to which my body and spirit needs are being met? One of the questions I sometimes direct inward is, what's needed to create more wholeness in my systems? Is there something I need to edit out, a behavior or a habit, thought? Is there something I need to bring in? I feel like there's a lot of information in there, a lot of scanning to be done. This would be a lovely thing to repeat before sleep tonight. So as you're settling in towards that kind of connected space between conscious and subconscious. For now, I'm going to invite us to kind of lock in any intentions by coming into compression and expansion breath again. So just a couple, 3 rounds when you are ready. On your exhale, a firm, slow drawing down of abdomen towards spine, back into the floor, practicing soft through neck, head, and shoulders. This will be our lead in to move powerfully, peacefully into our day, the rest of whatever it holds, whatever we give ourselves to. That inhale to flow, massage you, fuel you. A little more. That's the great thing about compression expansion. It literally gives us more oxygenation, more fuel. Right? Get out the stale, make room for the new. Thank you each and all so much for coming to the mat with me today. Or to see some of you at Third Mountain Thursday, also some of you here next week. In the meantime, Om Shanti Shanti, Om Peace, Peace, Namaste. You are out doing gardening, whether it's planting, weeding, or harvesting, I strongly encourage you to enjoy every moment and find a way to.
My house.
Oh, peonies, they're just the best. So find a way to explore and go up, go down, lean, reach, use everything you've got. Thanks for being here today. Bye.